Hey guys, welcome to Found Flicks. Well, here we are at the season 3 and surprise series finale of Penny Dreadful. My first question, what the fuck happened? This was a brutal and emotional finale, and it felt like a bigger gut punch since we had no idea that this was in fact the end. Well, that's pretty damn final. But I was still so upset and have been ever since watching the finale. I was ready to curse Showtime for canceling this excellent show, but it turns out this is how showrunner/writer John Logan intended to end the series, and he was the one that decided to keep it a secret, rather than capitalize on it being the final season. Okay, I will say that not knowing it was the finale did make everything that happened much more surprising. The finale was full of so much emotion, and it all worked really well, probably thanks to the surprise of it all. It still seems odd to end it this way, because I feel like there's still a lot of stories to tell in this world, and some plots and characters in the season were never given a chance to be fully developed. It kinda reminded me of the ending of Lost, resolution for one character, but not for the whole show. It's like, what happens to all the other characters we've grown to love? Even they seem lost about where to go next, which was also Logan's intention, to leave them in a beautiful stasis. It just feels especially harsh. Like, what about the newly appointed Lord Hyde? Nothing. The potentially time-traveling badass cat? Nope. And Dracula with his never-seen invincible super form? He just jets off. Screw this, I'm moving to Miami and getting an ice truck. So clearly the story is all about Vanessa's journey, which has obviously come to a close. However, the finale is a very satisfying conclusion to her story. Very satisfying, actually. And we got to see the apocalypse come to fruition that had been bubbling under the surface of the show. And the Hound of God reached his destiny, saving the world. But it still felt like the story needed more time. Regardless, I rather like season 3, missteps and all. When season 2 ended with splitting up the main trio, I was like, oh great, so now we get to spend a whole season with them apart just so they can finally reunite in the finale. But to my surprise, I like the direction they took with the story, with Ethan heading back to the American Old West. And all of these sequences just looked amazing. A real stark contrast to the gloomy London we've become accustomed to. Some people were complaining that this story didn't amount to anything, but I have to disagree. Vanessa and Ethan being apart is what forced them to separately deal with their respective demons. If they were together, this wouldn't have happened. One major theme of the season is to be who you are. So it was necessary for both of them to grow independently to get to where they needed to be for the finale. Essentially, they both struggle with the good and evil within themselves. Ethan eventually finds the light, and Vanessa embraces the darkness. This leads me to perhaps the most disingenuous character moment in the show. Vanessa gives in to Dracula at the end of Ebb Tide, or she accepts herself, or whatever. But like 2 seconds ago, she was about to shoot him in the heart. When she gave in, I was thinking, oh, this must be some kind of super plan she's got cooked up. She wouldn't just weakly accept evil, right? Guess not, because she's just evil now. And if she was secretly trying to take Drac down, she could have just shot him in the first place. It stands to reason that Dracula's voice had hypnotized her, but it still seemed really weird that after fighting evil for 3 seasons, she just gives up, unable to deal with the turmoil of being the centerpiece of the apocalypse. I also realized she had to accept her fate as the mother of evil for the story to end, but the steps weren't quite developed enough to get her there. Her decision is probably the biggest event in the entire story, but it felt like a cheap narrative necessity rather than a big turning point for Vanessa. It's also weird that Logan knew this was the final season, since we spent an entire episode developing a connection between Vanessa, Dracula, Lucifer, and Claire. What was the point of all that? Nothing in the grand scheme of things, but hey, it was still a damn good episode. That's why I still have to give major props to John Logan for his particular style and sensibilities. This is what made Penny Dreadful so special. He's playing by his own rules, which can really work. For example, we barely see Vanessa at all in both hours of the finale. That's right, the finale of the entire show, and Vanessa is on screen for maybe 5 minutes. This is super ballsy, and it makes Vanessa feel even more important by not being on screen. She becomes transcendent, a force or coveted object that everyone desires. And so when she and Ethan finally reunite, it feels like a grand theatrical reveal and really ramps up the emotion, because we don't really know where Vanessa is at this point as a character. This scene was also exceptionally well acted, and their goodbye is heartbreaking. At the end of season 2, Vanessa gave up her faith, throwing the cross in the fire. And I love that in her final moments, she gets it back, joining Ethan in the Lord's Prayer, then finishing it on her own before he pulls the trigger. Shit, that's just good writing, no doubt about it. So we know this is the end of Penny Dreadful, but I really want it to go on. I just love the world of the show. There's nothing like it on TV. I know how hard it would be to go forward without Vanessa, but I think it would work. To some extent, this finale showed us what we could expect, as she's not really in it anyway. We've got Malcolm, Ethan, Seward, Kat, and Victor, who kind of comes out of nowhere. Hey guys, I know it's been a while. Suicide mission, let's do it! They all team up to save Vanessa, and it's seriously kick-ass. The fight sequence with them in Dracula's den is fucking awesome. Seriously, can Kat get her own spin-off or something? She's such a cool character, and the references to her seeming out of place or not of her time point towards her being a time traveler. I was thinking maybe she traveled to this specific time knowing that she needed to do her part to stop the apocalypse. So cool! Plus, we know that Lyle headed off to Egypt and even name checks Imhotep, but we don't see anything. Come on! Logan even said that it wasn't intended to be a tease for The Mummy for season 4, just a beautiful ending for Lyle. Man, everything's beautiful to that guy. Plus, I thought a trip to Egypt would help develop the show's mythology and the god Amunet that was seen mainly in season 1. So there's plenty of story to work with for another season, and now it just feels like there's so much unfulfilled promise. It's a real bummer, but at least we got 3 seasons of this special, weird little show and all of our favorite broken creatures. This high-budget, gothic horror sensibility doesn't come around often, and it really was wonderful to just spend time in the world Logan created. Well, Penny Dreadful is gone, but at least we've got Ray Donovan, right? Right? Probably get like 15 seasons out of that shit. Ugh, I'm depressed now. Well, what did you guys think of the finale? Were you satisfied with the end of Vanessa's story or more devastated? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to FoundFlix for all the best in horror entertainment.